out. But pretty much to the high school, everybody's coming back from break. We're just trying to recover, start getting ready for the end of the year. But it has been a busy few weeks for our music department. On January 14th, 5 students participated in the North Jersey Area Band Festival, which is an ensemble that they had to audition for. And we are so proud to announce that 5 students were accepted to the Regent Band and Orchestra. And for one of the first times in our school's history, we will have 4 students participating in the New Jersey All-State Band. And they are Barbara Ashley, Alexander Masowit, Ryan Parachuk, and Sylvanus Jumbo. Both Ryan and Alex actually received first chair for their respective instruments, and this is the second year in a row that Ryan Parachuk has done so, which only a handful of students in the history of this ensemble are able to say that they have done that. Rock and Roll Academy had their winter concert on Friday night, and unfortunately I wasn't able to be there, but I did see some videos of it, and it was a fantastic show. If you ever want to see them again, they will be having a spring concert in May or June, I want to say, so I would come out to that. And speaking of shows, this Wednesday will be the Tri-M Solo Ensemble concert at 6:30 in the MOHS PAC. The concert will feature a variety of vocal and instrumental performances by different students from the music department, with many being from the Tri-M Honor Society, of course. And as the president of Tri-M and the actual MC of the event, I can honestly say that it's going to be a great show, and we would love to have you all there. Winter sports have officially kicked off, as have many successful seasons. Our bowling team is doing incredibly well. And as always, be sure to check Twitter for any and all athletic updates. The Air Force JROTC had a drill team and color guard competition this weekend. The drill team, led by Lieutenant Colonel Jason Wang, came in 3rd place out of 11 teams, and the color guard team, led by Lieutenant Colonel Lucas Reyna, placed 1st out of 10 teams. For anybody interested in learning more about our JROTC program and potentially getting involved, there will be a virtual informational night for parents and students on Tuesday, January 31st. In terms of student council, a bunch of our officers recently attended the New Jersey Association of Student Councils Winter Conference at TCNJ. We're actually able to host a workshop on our block party, teaching what it is, how it normally functions, and different ways that other schools can implement that at their programs. And we will be having a Spirit Week at the high school starting on February 13th. And in exciting news, we will be bringing back Clash of the Classes for the first time since the pandemic, which is a series of academic and athletic events, and it's all the grades against each other to see who really is the best. And between you and me, I think the senior class has got this one in the bag. As a district, we have been hosting 7 students from South Korea for about the past 3 weeks, with 2 students being in high school, 3 in middle school, and 2 in 5th grade. 5 of those students will be leaving this week, and we just want to say a massive thank you to our host families and the students at our schools for making this experience positive, and we look forward to continuing our school's international relations in this way. In terms of academics, the second marking period will be closing on Friday, but grades will not be due until next Friday, February 6th. Additionally, 29 students sat for the Seal of Biliterary test, which is a state exam to measure proficiency in 2 or more languages. And if students pass this test, they will be awarded the Seal of Biliteracy for the state at graduation. The spring ACT and SAT registration is officially open for our juniors. The SAT will be on March 22nd, and the ACT will be on March 7th at the high school. And registration for that will be closed on January 25th. Our sophomore class, I know this may seem early, will be having a meeting on January 31st to discuss class ring orders for their graduation. But speaking more currently, our senior students and parents received a link in their emails for cap and gown orders. There's multiple packages on the website, and it can be a bit difficult to navigate because they're trying to throw different types of merchandise at you, but you only need to purchase the $32 package, and it includes the cap, gown, stole, and tassel, and the cap and gown will be in the color black. That's what everyone wears. It's not like the middle school. And to any senior families that may be listening, be sure to buy them now, as the price will increase as we get closer towards the end of the year.
To know.
Yeah, that's everything from me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, very enthusiastic. Yeah. I have a quick question for you. It's kind of like a little fun
of
bit.
course.
I'm going back to when I was in high school 40 years ago. Do the juniors still turn their rings, like the amount of years, like when I graduated in the class of 82, you had to find like 82 friends, and they had to turn your ring, and then you had to have one more for good luck. I never heard, that's how long I've been. I was just curious.
I don't think anyone done that except your class.
Since I didn't graduate yet,
Oh, you would've got it
I'm
with
not
junior
too
year.
sure. Oh,
Okay.
junior year.
Yeah,
Oh,
you get your rings junior year.
yeah, I don't have a class ring, so I don't know, but I
Make
can
the
find
suggestion
out.
to start it back up. I'm just like.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions or comments from the board?
Well, she could just be a little bit more outgoing at the next meeting.
That's why she's in the trauma show.
That was an amazing
Oh, yes.
student report. Thank you very much.
Now she just has to keep on doing it.
Okay, moving right along, superintendent's
Same
report?
thing.
Okay, nothing from the superintendent. So we'll move on to personnel. Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes, hello. We met on January 18th. Dr. Bonja, myself. Who else was there? Dr. Kreider. Dr. Kreider was there. Dr. Gales, were you there at personnel?
Yes.
And I don't remember. Oh, Miss Aquino.
Mr. Zaire.
And Mr. Zaire.
Oh, yeah, I was there.
I wasn't sure.
That bun a little too tight, I think.
I look younger now, though.
We had many things to discuss. One was the Director of Student Support Services and Programming job description, position, and hiring plan, which is also on the agenda. Dr. Bonja also talked to us about, there was a discussion about redefining the middle school sports model to include intramural sports so more students can participate. We also discussed updating the nurse job descriptions, which is something we do with all job descriptions, but we will be updating that one. There was also a question about activity stipends regarding how many students attend and how many activities are actually. It's good just to get an audit of seeing what we have both at the middle school and the high school. Another thing we did was talk about exit interviews, because it was asked about exit interviews. I believe that somebody, Dr. Gales, had asked about that, and Ms. Aquino, that in the past. And it was replied that we currently send exit interview surveys to all employees leaving the district. Dr. Kreider is beginning to call employees that have been in the district for a number of years to gather data about their decisions. She also talked about the aid retention plan based on information in the exit interviews and discussions. Also, the Dome marketing position was questioned, and we were talking about renegotiating that for next year. And other things we did had to do with facilities, so I won't tread on Mr. Zaire's toes. Did I get everything in there? Anything else that was missing? Perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic. Any questions or comments from the board? Fantastic. Curriculum and technology,
That would be me.
that would be you.
Yeah, it would. Okay. We met on 118, and it was myself, Dr. Giordano, Mr. Zaire, Ms. Melendez, Dr. Bangia, and Mr. Robinson. And we spoke about, excuse me, the elementary science fairs. On February 27th, Mountain View and Tints will hold theirs. And on March 1st, Sand Shore and CMS. And during those nights, Mort and the demos will be there by Mort, our robotics team, and judges will be provided by the Science Honor Society. The district science fair will in turn be held on March 18th at the Commons at the high school. And at that time, we will also offer tours of the facilities to anyone that's the participants, provided to participants during judging. We also spoke about the new media literacy standards. On January 4th, Governor Murphy signed into law requiring school districts to incorporate instruction on information literacy in an appropriate place at the K-12 curriculum as part of the district's implementation of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards. We also spoke about the expansion of elementary phonics program. Foundations is designed to be a K-3 program, and the district has only been using it through grade 2. But staff has articulated the need for this expansion due to gaps in understanding and the need for further word study. Just Words, a phonics intervention program for grades 3 and up, is currently in use, but general phonics instruction is necessary, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. This will ultimately require an adjustment to the third grade schedule and a one-time purchase of roughly $85,000 for materials and training. Well worth it, in my opinion. And lastly, we discussed NJIT Real World Connections. Signups are complete. 2 chaperones have been acquired. Trips are scheduled and are ready for board approval. Title IV funds have been used for this, and all monies have been distributed into the appropriate accounts. Confirmed courses include web development, introduction to programming with Python, game development and/or game design, data science, filmmaking and video editing, smartphone apps development, computer build and/or robotics, developing games with Java, entrepreneurship through e-commerce, and cybersecurity. I think that's all we covered. Yes, team?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Any questions or comments from the board? Fantastic. Moving along, Mr. Zire, Finance and Operations.
All right, bear with me. We only met just a few moments ago. I'll start with the facilities report. There were various high school repairs that were addressed. The card scan infectious disease contact tracer for the high school bathrooms is being installed and is approximately 80% complete, hopefully with a quick turnaround ETA for maybe the end of this month. Various repairs were also done at Mountain View. We received submittals for the Moms Auditorium lighting project, replacing old and existing exit and emergency lights at the high school that failed the 90-minute burn test to ensure compliance. Dome safety training was provided to all athletic staff. And then we are procuring quotes for repair of the middle school emergency generator, as right now we do not have one due to a mechanical issue. 150 summons, this is the security report. 150 summonses were issued for passing school buses. We keep going here. There was a Bark and Gaggle, which is our security alert systems monitoring our students' technology. Bark had 13 alerts and Gaggle had 47 alerts that were promptly addressed and taken care of. We had 4 resident investigations were completed and reviewed. Hearings were held, and they are being addressed as well. Security and fire drills were held throughout the district for this month. Were extremely successful. We have a vaping problem within the schools that's being quickly addressed and being handled. We do ask that parents speak with their children to help with addressing this issue. There is no vaping in school, okay? And it's causing other facility issues. The district-wide radio project, the electrical meter was installed on December 13th, as per Mount Olive Police Department. They have their equipment installed. They're going to do some testing for a little while, and then we are going to have our vendors come in and install our equipment. Speaking of, the inventory of old portable radios is underway as one of the action items, as we will be moving them out for to see what we can get for reimbursement. Transportation, we had some employees move. We have the contract for the partnership on the agenda item for tonight with Washington Township to address those emergency needs, and I stress that, emergency needs if warranted. Legal expenses is also on the agenda for tonight. That's a large action item for obvious reasons. And we also discussed the negative lunch balance. This is a multifaceted problem that we're trying to identify, and we're aggressively taking a multifaceted approach to address it as quick as possible. So that is all I have. Anybody else have anything else they want to add?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the 150 bus summonses just for the month?
December.
Thank you.
That includes the Christmas break.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Any other questions or comments from the board? Fantastic. Moving along, Mrs. Fenton, do you have anything for policy?
No, we did not meet.
Fantastic. Do we have any representatives from our PTOs, PTAs, CSAs who would like to come up,
No.
Board subcommittees, yes.
and our subcommittees?
Jamie's
I figured other PTOs were going. So I'm Jeannie O'Neill, still president of CPEG, and we met in January 10th. And thank you to all the board members, Dr. Bangia who came. We got updates from Sharon and Deb, the directors of special ed, and a lot of great news, reading programs, reading specialists, unified programs, the activities and the clubs, additional support for activities, and new classes at the high school for TV production, computer drafting and theater, which was all great. Everybody was really happy with that. We also had a presentation by Natalie Kitts. She used to work in district. She is an OT, and she runs the Positive Developmental Center. So she came and did a presentation on behavior modification, a different model than ABA, the floor play, which was, I guess they're gonna work in some of the elementary schools with support staff. So it was just a great way, to be able to talk, see what they did, and like their methodology and how parents ask questions. On January 19th, I attended SEAC. SEAC's the State Special Education Advisory Council. It's like, above all the CPEGs. They had a great presentation on implementing programs and making programs successful and why programs fail or why programs succeed. Ms. Reed, an inclusion specialist, was the presenter, and Dr. Damian Petro, the assistant director of special ed, also presented that with her. They formed 5 new focus groups to really try to align all the CPEG groups and their priorities for this year. And what the focus groups are least restrictive environment, recruitment and retention, mental health, and external engagement and internal engagement. And it was extremely informative. And some of the things, I told Dr. Bangia, I think that Mount Olive should be part of, because we have great things to offer, like input and to hear what other people are doing. It really, the recruitment and retention, they had where you find TODs, where you find speech therapists, where to find all the people that we need right now, and how they're going to try to make that more accessible and easier for school districts to know where to go to get these people that we need right now. So that was great information to get, and I did send Dr. Bangia a copy of the agenda because they didn't put up their minutes yet, but they had a whole bunch of free resources for professional development academy, and that's about it. That's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
Does an excellent job.
Thank you for
So, Mrs. O'Neill, does CPEG have any upcoming events?
Thank you. Our meetings are always the first Tuesday of the month, but that is Valentine's Day for February, so we're going to move it to Thursday, the 16th. That's our next meeting. I'm not sure yet who I didn't hear back from who was going to be speaking. I know security wanted to speak with parents and transportation wanted to speak with parents, but I don't know who it'll be yet.
Okay, thank you.
We didn't get that far yet. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else? Are there any board members who attended any school-based PTA, PTOs?
The high school's is tomorrow at 7 in the Commons.
Okay. I did, go ahead.
Oh, I you know what? We were on Zoom line for Sand Shore. My notes are. I don't have a whole lot to report. They have their boys dance, their girls dance. They're doing neat stuff for Valentine's Day. They just have a full schedule ready to go, and that's basically what we were talking about.
Okay.
I did not bring my report, I'm sorry.
And I think we're in the same boat because I did attend virtually the CMS SCA, but because I was in the car, I wasn't able to take notes. So they will send me the notes. Actually, they will be here at our next meeting to present, so they can present for this past meeting, which was last week, and next month's meeting. Okay, board president's report. Just a couple of quick things. I had the pleasure, along with Dr. Bangia and Chris Zaire, to attend an Eagle Scout ceremony yesterday, which was very, very nice. And as a result, we've been asked as a board to recognize some of the Eagle Scouts who achieved their Eagle Scout badge last year. And I thought it would be a great idea to invite them to next month's board meeting and recognize them. So if the board is amenable, we can reach out to those families and have them here next month. It's such a tremendous accomplishment. And we were there yesterday recognizing Bryce Abramson. And it was a new experience for me, absolutely fantastic. So
I just want to add, you know, certainly all those community projects that these young men do often impacts our schools. And for example, for Bryce's, he created an outdoor classroom at Sandshore, and that's going to be a really great opportunity when the young men come to meet with us next month, is really showcase the work, because certainly it's all about community. It's all about making sure that they're giving back to where they live. And it was so beautiful to see, really. And also this, the family celebration. You know, at the end of the day, how proud they were. And, you know, certainly not only their parents, but, you know, their siblings and also their grandparents.
absolutely.
Dr. Gales, do we have anything from the Girl Scouts that they also would have anyone to present? Was it silver or gold?
This is silver award, isn't it?
Silver, right? Silver or gold?
Well, not at this point, but if there are any Girl Scouts out there who would like the same, please reach out to Dr. Bangia via email, and she will get the ball rolling.
So certainly, the Boy Scouts, they notify us when one of their members earn the rank of Eagle Scout, but certainly if there are any local, you know, Girl Scout troops that offer a similar ceremony of sorts, we'd be more than happy to attend it.
Thank you.
And the other, I'm sorry.
No.
The last thing is, as you know, we've been talking about the referendum committee for quite some time, and I wanted to share with the board and the community that I will be appointing Mr. Strelacci as the chair of that ad hoc committee. And congratulations, Mr. Strelacci. I know you'll do a wonderful job, and we will talk as you begin to look at committee members for that very important process. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, we'll move.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Do you want me to do a liaison report for the, not town council, the other one?
Planning board?
Planning board.
Oh, sure. Yes, you went.
So,
Sure.
yes, I'm sorry. I forgot that this was part of it. You can hear me? Okay. Can you hear me now?
For the people at home, not for much us. Right?
So it was a very long board meeting. It was between Ryan Homes, and basically what they were speaking about last week was drainage issues and how much drainage they needed per house, etc. But the big take out of what I think everybody would like to know is there is going to be a total of 494 dwellings if approved. Based on the Rutgers data, they are assuming it's going to be 1,440 residents, 212 children. They did approve phase one, which would start all the ground maintenance and everything, but I believe in the phase one period, which can start as late as the end of the summer. It can start now, but they're not ready for that. Would be a total of 255 dwellings. That would be 195 regular dwellings and 60 Section 8 dwellings. And that's about it. You know, the rest was about how they're going to replace trees and traffic, and they seem to be all set on that.
I just want to add, with respect to the new additions to the community as far as students are concerned, the demographic study that was presented to the board in early January, that was completed in December, includes those numbers. So we are inclusive of that. And I believe, Ms. Libby, that on the 13th, we're going to
I'm
have,
gonna check. He wasn't available for tonight, so I'll check for the 13th. That Dr. Grip can come and present. It'll be virtual. He'll be presenting virtual, but he will present the demographic study to the board, because as you know, we do need that to move ahead with the referendum question.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from the board? Fantastic. Now we move on to public comments. Members of the community may comment on any action item prior to board discussion. Please state your name and address for the record. All comments must be respectfully presented. Abusive or obscene comments are not accepted. We now open the floor for public comments on action items and action items only.
Good evening. This is Martin Wellsmuller, 25 Woodcrest Avenue, Bud Lake, New Jersey. I noticed in action item 7.2, we have a lot of people leaving the district again. Yet again, we're losing another beloved teacher from the National English Society, the book club. All my kids have loved her, and it's a shame that she's leaving. I hope when they do a proper exit interview with her, that we get the rationale of why she's leaving. Because someone who just was made tenure 6 months ago, whatever that is, leaving that fast, it's pretty shocking. All right. I can tell you that she's been a wonderful lady to my family and to my kids, and it's a shame. I have a handout here for the Board of Ed, and Lynn, I'll give you my copy when I'm done. Gina, if you could pass that down.
Does that pertain to an action item?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I'll wait till everyone gets it, and then I will read it. Yeah. I was mentioned in the past that when I give handouts to the board that they don't normally get handed out, so that's why I'll make sure it gets out to everyone before I start. There's one there for each board member.
Welcome back in school. Take one, pass it back.
For the board members.
I'm guessing.
And one go for Lynn, actually, an extra one.
Oh, that's for Lynn? I'll come over. Nope. You sit down.
Good evening. I am coming here to speak about action item 9.9, the increase in legal expenditures to our board. First off, I want to talk about the bill for this month of $45,000. I'd like to see if the community can get a breakdown of that for what was billed from the attorney for the community. All right, I see we're looking for an additional $100,000 for the board attorney. After the last month's meeting in December, we increased it $65,000. I asked why. You said you would give an accounting of that. And you said most likely we would not be going over that $65,000. Now we're coming back looking for an additional $100,000. And I'd like to get that fully explained fully through the community. Now, I oppose these additional expenditures due to the existing circumstances. Our board attorney is behaving unethical by disclosing private emails from several districts of people who didn't need to know. As you can remember from our previous board meetings, I forwarded Mark Zimmer's ethics complaint for the record, for which contained indisputable evidence of his wrongdoings. See comments from the board of December 12th Board of Ed meeting. Mr. Muller made several accusations against the board attorney. Zimmer has conflict of interest, should be recused himself from legal proceedings involved in the district. Mr. Zimmer responds, explained that he is a representative of the board as a whole, not individual, yada, yada, yada. But in the end, regarding his conflict, I was ultimately correct, and Mr. Zimmer was not. Okay? On the second side of the page, I question the additional $165,000 increase to legal in December minutes. Now you're asking for an additional $100,000 to reward Mark and his firm for dishonest behavior. I would want to respectfully request that you vote against this motion at this time and that we hire a new legal counsel for the Mount Olive Board of Education as soon as possible. The minutes from Monday, December 12, 2022, on my comments. where Mr. Waldron questioned the additional $65,000 increase. This comes right from the Board of Ed minutes. Expense cited in action item at that time in December was 9.6, and he asked if the details of breakdown of expenses would be provided to the public. Dr. Banji explained that unexpected legal expenses arose during the first half of the school year, and as anticipated, the cost of legal services for the remainder of the year would exceed the maximum level of spending previously reported. Ms. Lizzie explained that the $65,000 increase to the budget line does not mean that the district will spend the entire amount. Obviously, we are now, and we're looking for more. Okay, meaning that the previous measure of the event of unexpected legal expenses are incurred during the remainder of the school year. I also want to go on record that any of the Board of Ed members just blindly approve this item, knowing that marking violations of the attorney-client confidentiality could be considered acting unethical yourself in this matter. And I recommend getting an opinion letter from the School Ethics Commission with the board, with the members who have retained regarding this matter to protect the integrity of the board, and also the conflicted Board of Ed members who have retained Check Price, Smith, Klein, King, LLP, and or their affiliates to personal matters or pro bono service abstain during this vote, which would include Antoine Gales and Anthony Giordano due to this personal conflict. This letter is to be added to the official Board of Ed minutes and not to be hidden from the public. That is my stance on this thing. I want you guys to vote it down, and I also want you, or postpone it to another board meeting and get an ethics rule letter on this, please. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, everybody. Joanne Pisano, Chester resident. My son is an out-of-district placement here in the high school. So, real quick.
Is this
Yes,
an
it
action
is.
item?
Yes, it is. It's about the AIDS, basically. So I'm gonna just repeat what we keep repeating. Just wasn't it about retention of AIDS as one of the reports? Is that an action item?
No.
It's not really a board resolution for vote.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll come back up second round.
Yes, okay, yes. For the second one.
Oh, about the ones that are leaving. Second round, I'll
Yes,
come up?
yes,
All right.
yes. Thank you. Anyone else on action items?
Hi, I am Kathy Jabalisco. I am a Mount Olive transportation driver. I'm looking at action item, I believe, 9.7. Is that an action item?
Yeah.
So I'm speaking in the correct spot here?
Yes.
All right. Before you this evening is another approval for a joint transportation agreement with a different district. Back in October, we were here. A bunch of us bus drivers, not every board member who's here tonight was here, but a number of you were. A bunch of us bus drivers were here to say that we did not want you to approve that transportation agreement. We feel the same way with this transportation agreement. This one here is with the department in Washington Township. On your budget here, it says that it's going to be $65 an hour for a bus, $55 an hour for a van, and $20 per hour extra for holidays being charged. Surely us Mount Olive bus drivers do not make that type of salary. I understand one of your board members tonight said that it was mentioned that it was for an emergency purposes only. Well, at this point, I looked in the minutes for the Washington Township Board of Ed, and this approval was for athletic trips. We were here to state that athletic trips are something that are very counted upon by us as bus drivers. We make part-time salaries. Many of our bus drivers depend on these jobs because they are extra money to us. For us to get extra money and keep it in district, we feel as if that is what you guys should do. You should not approve this transportation agreement to send it out of district. Out of district means that you're going to pay somebody else more than what we make per hour in order to cover this expense. We feel as if us being bus drivers, maybe there are a need for more bus drivers. If we need more bus drivers, maybe there should be more put into advertising for more bus drivers. Getting some type of way to get more bus driver or help if we do need the help in transportation, even though every day all the children are delivered, trips are done, we do everything that needs to be done. There has been a time where we've had absences. Right now, there's been absences because of various flus and different health reasons. So at this point, we even had half of our management staff. Our management is 4 employees. There were days last week where there were 2 employees. 1 employee did the entire job, and everything got done. People were moved. Everything was fine. So right now, we don't have half of our driver staff absent, and we still get everything done. We feel as if it's very unfair if you would just arbitrarily approve this, because it means a lot to us as bus drivers. And one of your members as well just said something about how there's 212 more students being added to this district. If that's the case, the real emphasis should be placed on expanding our transportation staff. It should not be on just outsourcing things that are something that we really do need to make our ends meet and that we depend upon. Also mentioned were 150 summonses, which actually brings a lot of money into your district. And that's from us as bus drivers, getting those summonses out there for the community, making our roads safer, traveling safer for our students. And if that doesn't mean something to you guys, I'm really sorry to hear that you would arbitrarily just rubber stamp this agreement, like the last agreement that was before you, and just think that it's okay. As well, some of our bus drivers substitute for aides. We have a problem not having enough aides in our department. Our aides are few and far between at times. They are underpaid, in my opinion, and the opinion of other people as well. And they are necessary for any of the transportation that you all do with our special needs children. So I think it should be put more of an effort to help get more aides and pay our aides properly in order for them to be there so our bus drivers do not have to substitute in aid positions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board?
I just want to say, when I said emergency, I'd like to clarify, what I meant by emergency is that all avenues were addressed and there was nobody that could take that, I want to call package, but take that ride. And that's when we would go towards the use of the contract. So it's just a safety net at the bottom, not an emergency. It's just when we do not have the resources and everything has been exhausted. That's what I meant by that.
Yeah, right. So you can.
So then is it my understanding that this is only on an emergency basis? Where every single driver has been asked and there's no one to cover that trip? Is that what I'm understanding from you?
We are saying that this contract is to be utilized only when all resources are exhausted. Thank you, that's the word. In-house resources are exhausted.
Well, at this point, we have had some discrepancies on in-house resources being exhausted, because there have been occasions where some of our trips have already been outsourced, and us as drivers have not known about it until we see a different bus pull up and find out they are taking trips that you guys all, there's tonight on the agenda here, approval for field trips or athletic trips, and they're so far in advance, there should be advanced planning, whether it's the schools that don't get the information to the department, whether it's the department that don't get the information to the drivers. There's a miscommunication somewhere. But if these trips are approved so far in advance, just like athletic schedules are approved so far in advance, there is no reason why we should not be able to cover all of these trips. Thank you.
Thank you. So let me, one, clarify that regarding the summonses, the Mount Olive School District does not get any of that money. And I believe that we were in negotiations at some point with the township to try to get some piece of the pie, and so far, we haven't received anything. And from what I understand, thank you, Mrs. Iyer, for clarifying that this proposal from the superintendent, the acting superintendent, is not to replace any drivers or any routes, and it's not to supplant, it's to actually augment, as we just mentioned, when all resources, in-district resources, are exhausted. And I know I was here at the previous board meeting when this was on the agenda, and many of us had concerns about this very issue. And I specifically remember making the comment, okay, bus drivers, you have some big shoes to fill, because we kind of put this on hold. And we're right back at the same point of now having to provide this safety net. And I would feel a bit more comfortable if we had a safety net that does not take away from the first right of refusal of our in-house personnel, but does give us some assurity that in the event that we have people who are out sick, or we have individuals who can't do a run, that we do have the resource to get our kids to an athletic trip, a field trip, or wherever that route is run. And I don't want our bus drivers to feel aggrieved because we want to provide this safety net. I think it's going to help the district all the way around, because we're not replacing anything that you're doing.
I have a question, please, if somebody can answer. So isn't that what Jefferson is there for, to do that exact thing?
We've never approved Jefferson.
We never approved it.
Oh, it was, I'm sorry, okay, it was not approved.
Mr. Board President, may I?
Sure.
So in order to be fair all around, transportation has been tracking the attendance of drivers. And the average attendance rate through, I believe, today is less than 80%. It's very difficult to run a department at less than 80%, less than 90%. So items like this need to be put into place to make sure that our regular runs, getting students from home to school, from school to home, are covered. I can tell you that the transportation office staff, and I have them now tracking the hours that are spent rerouting daily because of the attendance issue. So that will be forthcoming in my next finance report. So this issue has impacted the department tremendously. Do we have an issue hiring drivers? We just had 2 new drivers who were here less than a month quit. I'm not going to get into why, but we've had 2 drivers who were here less than a month quit. So, things do need to be addressed in the department, but attendance is a major problem. And when we're looking at less than 80% as an average, therein lies your problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
At the end of last school year, there were drivers that retired, did not come back, and there were no replacements for those drivers. That is not an attendance issue. Maybe it's Miss Libby feels the attendance issue is currently with the drivers that are there now. I can tell you personally, I have not been absent one day from school since the beginning of the school year. I come to school, I do my job, I do what's expected of me. And I feel as if this is being, letting the door open for just other ways to circumvent the drivers that are the good drivers here. There are a lot of good drivers here that do not get the credit that they deserve. Maybe there are some drivers that do take advantage of certain things. Maybe there are other people in other avenues that take advantage. There are a lot of good drivers here. By you approving this, it is not just a safety net, as you want to call it. It means a lot to a lot of drivers that our trips are going to be outsourced. And it can very arbitrarily be done without any of us knowing, unless we have to go and investigate every single trip or every single thing that is put before this school district. It is not our job to figure out if all of these jobs are being outsourced. It's our job to do the jobs. And we are doing the jobs. Whether there's 80% or not. We are getting our students back and forth to school every day. There's a lot of drivers that do double runs. They do above and beyond what they need to do in order for everything to work properly. And I think it's very unfair for us, especially me, myself, being one of the conscientious drivers here, to hear all the time about a problem when I am not the problem. If there are problems, problems need to be solved. And we can't just solve them by outsourcing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, closing public comments, Ms. Jones? Ms. Desire, approval of the monthly expenditures, please.
Sure, give me just 1 second to get up there. So on a recommendation of the acting superintendent, I move action items 6.1 to 6.8.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Zire?
Yes.
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Narcisse?
Yes.
Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
On 6.1, anything to do with Jody Bosch? No. Everything else? Yes.
And Dr. Gales?
Yes. Mrs. Ouimet, personnel.
I make a motion upon the recommendation of the acting superintendent to move personnel action items 7.1 through 7.8 with just a check on 7.6 with the link to one of the resumes that we had talked about, which was just a housekeeping thing, just to make sure it's going to the right resume.
Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
Yeah, it's been brought up already twice tonight, and I had already circled that I had some questions on the aides. As you know, I've been after us to get aides for a long time, and as we know, it's been very difficult to get aides. Every school district is having a problem. We are hiring 7 aides tonight, but we have 8 aides that are resigning. But I'd like to know, are we doing an exit poll on why these people are leaving so that we can make some kind of change if we had to?
We do. They fill out an exit survey. They're asked to fill out an exit survey. And I have been reaching out to folks that have been in the district a long time. But I'm going to encourage them more to ensure that they fill that out. But there's kind of 1 or 2 main reasons why they're leaving, and it has to do with that.
And on 7.6, we're hiring long-term substitutes, and as you know, of course, we pay $150 for 1 to 60 days. There is one on there for $250 for long-term sub. There's no explanation, but I would have to assume that that person has already been here for 60 days?
Not necessarily. We had some issues. It's a specialized leave. So often when we run into those situations, we do go off guide, so to speak, in order to meet the needs of that classroom. That particular classroom, we have that AP class preparing for that test. So we want to make sure that we have those kids, that test can't be moved. So we want to make sure that the individual who is covering that class is certified in French and who taught the class in the past. And so we had to go off our typical guide for that. And that has been done in the past as well for other things such as physics, for example.
I know it's a difficult thing when we have to find somebody for French or counts or science or whatever it may be. And we're competing with other places. But it's a sad state when we have to start prioritizing who we're going to pay and what we're going to pay. That's all.
And just to kind of add to what you were talking about regarding the aides, Mr. Schillaci, Dr. Kreider, as you may recall, I've been asking for a while about kind of like a longitudinal look at our attrition, and Dr. Kreider has done an amazing job of putting that information together over the course of about 3 or 4 years. So after tonight's meeting, I will share that with the board for you to review. She has taken a look at the attrition by school, by certification, by department, by reason for leaving. So it's some very fruitful information that will be very interesting for your review. So I will share that with you. And thank you, Dr. Kreider and Dr. Bangia, for putting that information together. Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
Yes.
Mr. Zire?
Yes to everything except abstain on 7.18.
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Narcisse?
Yes.
And Dr. Gales?
Yes. Mrs. Aquino, Curriculum and Technology.
I'd like to make a motion to approve curriculum and technology action items 8.1 through 8.9.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Narcisse?
Yes.
Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
Yes.
Mr. Zire?
Yes.
Dr. Gales?
Yes. Mr. Zire, Finance and Operations.
Yes, on the recommendation of the acting superintendent, I'd like to make a motion to move action items 9.1 through 9.11.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Zire?
Yes to everything. I abstain on 9.7 due to working in the district.
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes on everything, no on 9.7, no on 9.9.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
No to 9.7, yes, everything else.
Mrs. Narcisse?
No to 9.9 and yes to everything else.
Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
Yes.
And Dr. Gales?
Yes.
This motion's carried.
Administrative action items, Dr. Giordano.
Thank you. On recommendation of the acting superintendent, I'm sorry, before we do that.
Yes, you're
Before we do
right.
that, can we withdraw my name from 10.3, the appointment of the Morris County Ed Services Commission? I will not be able, there'll be a conflict with my schedule. I won't be able to attend those meetings. So
And
if someone
as-
else would like to take that over.
And as a result, we are looking for a volunteer from a board member.
I'll volunteer.
Oh, thanks, Lise.
So we will make amend the motion 10.3 and replace Dr. Giordano with Mrs. Narcisse.
So on the recommendation of the acting superintendent, did you want me to say it now? Or did you not want me to do the motion?
No, sure, go ahead.
Okay. Move administrative action items 10.1 down to 10.4 with Ms. Narcisse replacing myself for 10.3.
Second.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
Seeing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Narcisse?
Yes to everything and abstain on 10.3.
Mrs. Ouimet?
Yes.
Mr. Strelacci?
Yes.
Mr. Zire?
Yes to everything. I abstain on 10.2.
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes.
And Dr. Gales?
I am going to vote yes to everything and abstain on 10.1. And am I the alternate? And 10.4. 10.1 and 10.4, when I'm the alternate.
Why 10.3?
Public comments. Students, parents, employees, and community members may comment on any item of interest pertaining to the Mount Olive School District. Please state your name and address for the record. All comments must be respectfully presented. Abusive or obscene comments are not acceptable. We are now open for public comments pertaining to anything about the Mount Olive Public School District.
How you doing? Artie Cunnington. I drive for the board in the township. Just to comment on the transportation department. I've been here 6.5 years. When I started, we had 60 drivers on a roster, and that June, one retired, which left us with 59. We're currently at around 50 or 51 drivers, I'm not sure, and enrollment is going up. This is the problem with covering runs, in my view anyway. It's just a fact of life. I'd just like you to take that into concern and try and promote a way to hire drivers, especially with this new development going in. We're going to be so shorthanded, and it's going to be farming out everything. I understand that other companies have finally gotten their rosters up. I know that several of them still are lagging also. So it should be a priority to try and get some drivers. And as far as the attendance policy, the attendance has been like this since I've been here. But we had 60 drivers, so we were able to handle everything. Just something to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we not looking for drivers?
Oh, no, we're actively looking for drivers, and drivers have been hired through the year. But please, as I noted earlier, we had 2 new drivers quit by Christmas.
And there's still a shortage of drivers everywhere.
There are things that they're looking to put into play. I know one thing that we meaning the BAs and the districts around the state have been grappling with, is kind of lifting up certain requirements, if you will, to try to make it easier. We're trying to look for a way for, having like a van driver, driving an actual van. Do they really need to go through all of the stringent bus driver qualifications? So there's different things out there. There's some pushback from DMV. They're looking for certain language. So this is a nationwide problem. It's not just in New Jersey, though, as you know, New Jersey is probably the most regulated state in the country. So that doesn't help our situation any. But, we are not alone in this. But Pam is actively looking for drivers on a regular basis. And when she goes and does their care, running their license and stuff, if something even little suspect comes back, I'm not taking a chance.
And it's interesting that there's an organization that I'm affiliated with. They are actually offering to pay for CDL training, and they still can't get bus drivers. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Helene, or Dr. Helene?
Every now and then it's nice to remember that. My name is Dr. Brad Helene. I'm the Director of Student Achievement, and I'm the elected president of Moassa. First of all, thank you and congratulations to Ms. Aquino and Dr. Gales for stepping forward into their new leadership roles. It is, again, comforting to know that, once again, people of high moral and ethical values are leading our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Melendez, welcome and congratulations. Good luck. Speaking on behalf of the Mount Olive Administrators and Supervisors Association, the board has our full support. We truly do. We appreciate what you do. Understanding that last year was extremely eventful and at times very contentious, a lot of work remains to be done. And Moassa looks forward to our position and purpose in this work. To that extent, Moassa respectfully requests and expects a seat at the table during superintendent interviews and deliberations. That's it. Faster than my priest at church.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Hopefully my final comment for the evening. I want to thank the 2 board members who voted against the agreement, because it does mean a lot to us bus drivers thinking we have some type of support with the Board of Education. Because it seems like whenever you try and change something because things are not right, you never get, it falls on deaf ears and no one wants to hear you. And I just want to say as well, there are plenty of great bus drivers right here in Mount Olive currently. Other districts have a lot more bus drivers, but the ones you have here, there are plenty of wonderful bus drivers that you have here, and you should work to keep the ones that are really good so they don't go elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brianne Jarvis, 54 Deer Path Drive. A few different things I want to talk about tonight. So first, just as a community member, I'm pretty upset by the, Mr. Wellsmuller showing up with guns on his back of his shirt and making vague threats. And it feels like, don't vote on this or else. And it kind of bothers me as a community member. So there's that. I am tired of all the lawsuit stuff distracting from the students, and I think we need to get back to that. So back in March 2021, we all know about the board meeting where they talked about getting rid of ELA honors 11 and 12, and this is for the upcoming, my daughter's in 8th grade, she'll be going into high school next year. We need to start planning for her for high school. They also discussed eliminating general level classes in that meeting. I know that's, Dr. Zwicky addressed that and said that's not the case. We're not eliminating general level, so I'm just going to assume that that changed. They also said they were going to eliminate U.S. History 2 honors. After that meeting, when parents were upset, it was decided they were going to replace that with a Humanities Pathways 1 and 2. So my question is, when is that going to be part of the curriculum committee? When are we going to have a curriculum for that to plan for my daughter who's going to be in high school next year?
So at this juncture, we don't have any plans as far as eliminating those honors classes at those levels. We are at the freshman level, however, there will be no general level classes for English moving forward, which was something that was done this year as well. There was no general classes for English.
I was told that it was as needed, that the classes would be provided as needed for students. So then I'm going to come back to that I would like the curriculum committee. You were in the meeting I had with Dr. Zwicky in October. If you are eliminating general level classes, honors may be staying, they may not, but you're combining classes, students of different levels. I would like someone to, and I'm not talking like, philosophy, how it is on paper, equity. I want a breakdown of how all students in the classroom, other than station and rotation, are going to be, all of their needs are going to be met in one classroom, because I have serious concerns about it. And you know this, you were in the meeting. Dr. Gales, you were there.
Can I just pause you for 1 second and ask, Ms. Aquino, is that a reasonable request to be taken up in curriculum committee?
Yes.
Next curriculum committee meeting? Okay, thank you.
And so then is there not going to be a humanities pathway? It's going to remain ELA?
So when you say, can you clarify?
I don't know, because I asked about it and there was no curriculum, there was no
When you say
explanation.
maybe we can have a side conversation later on. You can explain to me what that means as far as
It was
humanities.
supposed to be some kind of combination honors class that would meet history and ELA. It was presented by Dr. Zwicky.
So why don't we have a follow-up conversation and I can obtain some more information about that.
Sure. So that's on that. And I just had a follow-up questions about the scoreboard. So there was an article in October in the Mount Olive Chronicle about all this fundraising that we have for the scoreboard. I believe that they annually have to report on funds. And is there a report coming? Any funds been raised?
They have to file a report with us by August.
By August?
By August, would you believe?
And there's no, do we have the guaranteed, in the article it says committed to donate $50,000 over the next 5 years, Motion Kia, Thunder Lacrosse, LabQ. Is that accurate?
We haven't seen anything yet.
That's concerning. Okay, thank you.
Martin Wellsmore, 25 Woodcrest Avenue, Bud Lake, New Jersey. Just want to remind the board president that no person should be representing or attacking any person in the audience, that they should only be addressing the board. And yet again, you haven't corrected that. I'm sorry that She's offended by my clothing. I don't comment. She'd love my shirt then. All right. What I'm going to hand out now is another handout for the board.
Do you mind giving that to the board secretary, please?
Can you please hand this to each board member, please? I'll wait till that's handed out. That would even.
Thank you.
I was trying to be nice, but she
Thank
didn't be able to do that. I thought you guys would be able to hand it over. Sorry, Lynn.
You want to see it?
All right, this is a letter submitting to the Board of Ed, to the Mount Olive Board of Education members, dated January 23rd, 2023, to be added to the official minutes of the Board of Ed meeting. Issue: Mark Zimmer's unethical behavior, which is unbecoming of the Mount Olive Legal Counsel. I, Martin Wellsbo, on behalf of the taxpayers of Mount Olive Township, am requesting that Mark Zimmer step down as the Board of Ed attorney. And if not, the Board of Ed to remove him tonight and replace him with another attorney from his law firm, or until an RFP is issued and a new attorney can be appointed from another law firm. Ethics matter, including with attorneys. I would also have thought by this time that you have thoroughly examined the papers I presented to the Mount Olive Board of Ed last meeting to be included in the minutes, and I emailed to all of you. You need to be prepared to act tonight to preserve the integrity of the Mount Olive Board of Ed, or whatever, at least what we have left of it. As a Board of Education elected representative, you have a responsibility to safeguard our district. I'm pretty sure we all can agree upon that. I've already mentioned several Board of Ed members have a conflict of interest when it comes to the represent Mark Zimmer's firm. I hereby advise them to abstain because it could be given rise to disciplinary actions from the School Ethics Commission when it comes to Mark Zimmer. The two members of the Board of Education who are conflicted are Antoine Gales and Anthony Giordano. All right, ethics matter. Here are some questions for tonight that I'd like to get some answers. 1, have you reviewed the ethics complaint against Mark Zimmer?
If you'd like, you can go through all of your questions, please.
I just want to see if anyone's going to answer. Number 2, are you prepared to take action to protect Mount Olive? Number 3, what else do you need as proof of his unprofessional conduct? 4, are you prepared to remove him tonight? 5, will you authorize going out for an RFP for new legal counsel? This is what you need to have answered today when you go into closed session. The taxpayers and parents are watching how you address this issue. Now, I did talk to some of the senators and congressmen in our state, and I'm pretty sure in the future they will also be attending these meetings, and they're also concerned with this as well. So this is not stopping here just with me, and I'll be bringing this up at every board meeting going forward until the board actually addresses the issue. You cannot hide from the truth. Thank you, and have a great evening. Do you have any answers to my questions?
Can I ask him a question? No?
Yeah, we don't, this is a meeting.
I'll
not
ask him
with the
later.
public.
It's a simple question.
Let him ask.
Ask.
My question is, you made a statement saying that you're here on behalf of the Mount Olive taxpayers.
Yes, I'm
Can you
also a
tell me,
taxpayer.
can you tell me which taxpayers they are?
Well, go down my block, talk to people.
I would like to, well, I'd like to know that.
I represent more than just myself.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Any other questions? All right, thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you, you too. Anyone else for public comments?
Hi, my name is Johanna Ruthite, 8 Hampton Road, Flanders. I do have a question regarding the transportation for the swim team. I don't know why, but the bus that was supposed to take the swim team to CCM today went to CCM empty. My son is a senior, so he was able to drive himself. He called me at 4:45 to say there was no bus. Then he said to me, Mom, there's going to be a small bus, so I'm going to drive myself, which the seniors are allowed to drive themselves. He has a permission slip and all that. So I said, sure, go ahead to practice. Then he calls me when he gets there to say, Ma, the bus is there. Nobody's on the bus. And then he goes, and practice is canceled. He said, but being that the coaches are there, 6 kids who I guess drive themselves were there for practice, and these kids have a meet tomorrow. So can somebody find out who was driving that bus and why they were in the wrong place? Like they were They should have been at the high school picking up students to take them to CCM, but they were at CCM, I guess, assuming they were picking up students. Thank you.
Thank you. Again. Hi, Joanne Pisano, 78 Hillside Road, Chester. I just am using my phone just so I don't forget about the AIDS. The reason I was up before, and again, it was a misunderstanding, is I think it was one of you reported on retention of AIDS as having been in part. So I wanted to know if at any point you can share with us what strategies are being done. As Ms. O'Neill said, the State Special Ed Advisory Council is having some strategy. So I agree with her that I know she shared it with Dr. Bangia and with Sharon Stasak and Deb Huffman, special ed directors, to be part of that so it can be, a group effort. The other thing I wanted to say is forgive me for anything I say that you guys already know. I having been in many schools, I know that sometimes parents think, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, you can't, you don't. So for example, maybe some of this is happening already for the AIDS, and forgive me if it is, but I'm still going to say what I've thought and that has come up before. Money is an issue. So various times over time I've heard, money doesn't matter. Come on. My husband's in the restaurant business. He is working at Newark Airport right now, developing a food court. They're paying $20 to $21 starting an hour. They cannot keep people. They can't get people. So my husband has been working literally like 18 to 19 hours a day in every role at Newark Airport, the gorgeous new facility, and people quit left and right. So I get it. He'll hire somebody, they quit. So I get it. It's not always just about money. It's about other things. So one of the things that I said at a CPAC meeting recently, might sound minuscule, but I used to love when I would go to conferences. Anybody who's a true educator loves conferences. You get out of the building, you get to remember what you did, especially if it's a good conference, right? You kind of meet with other people. Well, I think we should offer this to AIDS. If you can't always offer salary increment, although that needs to definitely go up, I think there should be a perk. Everybody hired, and here's what we're going to offer you. We're going to offer you, 2 conferences. You're going to go with the teacher. You're going to go with other paraprofessionals. Local conferences, virtual conferences. It might sound minuscule, but I think treating them more professionally in every way, including going to IEP meetings. Throughout all the districts I've been in, both as a teacher and as a parent of a kid with an IEP and a significant disability at that, never has an aide been invited. And when I have asked for it, it's always kind of like, they have to watch the other kids. It's always kind of rushed under. But guess what? They're the ones with your kid all the time, okay? And so there really should, I think, be that professional thing. There's a lot of lack of communication, miscommunication, not just here, just because things happen so quickly in a building and with kids and with a lot of high needs kids. So getting them on board. Now, I'm just going to share personally, my son's aide, who's a wonderful person and won Aide of the Year last year, has been out on medical leave since January 1st with a legit issue, right? So they've had these wonderful aides kind of filling in, but the last 2 days, Danny, who was your aide? Oh, I was fine by myself, which I want him to be. He's in 10th grade. My goal has been the diminishment of an aide, but there are things that he and others still need. So I know they're struggling at the high school and other places, okay? And so that's one thing, is more professionalism with them as much as possible. That's not just from the administrators, it's from teachers. We all know teachers sometimes, give them the things they don't always want to do. Some teachers aren't trained how to work with paraprofessionals. As part of my IEP with Mendham to stay here, as everybody knows, when you're an out-of-district placement, or maybe people don't know, you have to continually to show to your district why your kid should be in this district. So they came and observed, and they saw that this wonderful aide was on top of my son, was talking the whole time that the teacher was talking, probably out of nervousness. There were a lot of observations like that. So there has to be professional development also constantly with aides, and with the teacher in the room at that time that Mendham observed didn't say or do one thing with my son, left it all to the aide. So it's not just as simple as getting a paraprofessional. There's a lot of professional development that has to happen and continually happen with teachers and aides and how to work with them. Having been a teacher in a classroom, once I was in a kindergarten class, co-teaching class, I had 5 aides. It was too much. Sometimes I wanted them to go away. So there's also, where can we have shared aides? There's a lot of things. I was on the Montclair CPAC for many years, and we had a wonderful head of special ed. And we had an audit, and I don't know, again, what you guys have had, of aides, of how are we using our aides? And an outside agency came in. I know that nobody likes outside agencies, so do it from within if you like. But an outside agency came in, and they really looked at all the aides and how, is this kid needed all the periods? My son doesn't need it every period, right? Where can you maneuver aides? And it's not always easy, and they often do it themselves without much supervision, but can there be a more organized way of using the aides, of having more shared aides? Another wonderful thing, when even my son was 4th or 5th grade and we were in Montclair, was no, actually, he was there in 3rd and 4th. The head of special ed said every IEP should have a goal to independence goals toward independence, especially as you get older. Now, we all know we have different levels of kids, but there are many who grow to have learned helplessness on their aides. The aides have learned helplessness. My kid, I just hate to say, he's a pain to me, but he's a pretty sweet kid, and he's a pretty easy kid relative. So, of course, an aide is going to want to be with him rather than a bigger behavioral problem, right? So sometimes you get aides also who want to stay with one kid. So what I'm saying is there's many controversies that go on with aides that should be looked at. Training PDs, perks, getting parents involved too. I have no clue. My son talks. There was no aide. Okay, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know you're all struggling, right? And I've wanted him to have, less of an aide. But do the other aides work with him? Are they trained? Do they understand that my kid can't write and needs the iPad? Parents, I'm not really clued in because everybody's really busy. Whose job is that to clue in? Is it the case manager's job when the aides are out for 3 or 4 days or there's a leave? So all of these things have to come up. I know Sharon and Deb are very busy. They have a lot. And what I'm going to throw out there right now is I think you need somebody else, an additional person. And I know it's money. And I'm letting you know, whatever you want to call it, to for all the things going on. At the CPAC meeting, I think it was, Sharon said, was the number 7? It was a crazy number of increases in kids with IEPs from people moving in the district. So I'm just putting that out there that perhaps we need additional staff to do all these things that I'm talking about. Male aides are super important, as everybody knows. Recruiting males, retaining males, what are we doing? I teach at Drew in the summer, getting student teachers, people who are going to be teachers, offering them a perk. If you do this for a year, you're going to have first shot and first dibs at our district. Really going to those colleges of education for paraprofessionals, not necessarily just the people from the community. And I could go on and on. Oh, and the last thing is natural support. So when we say natural supports, we mean peers. I love that so many peers at Mount Olive High School know my son, and they're great in classrooms with him. Today I said, you had foods. It's a big class, and I'm kind of nervous about him in there. Did you have an aide? No, I was okay. What did you do? We made bread. Okay, who helped you? The other kids, okay? So as time goes on, especially if you're training within this school system as an inclusive system, kids are going to wind up being natural supports, even though it might not be the legal thing in the IEP. And honestly, that's what I want in my kid's life, is the natural supports of the world. So all of these things I've said are just things that come in my mind over the years of working with aides and having my son have an aide. I would love him not to have one. And a lot of parents are nervous, though. They don't want to give it up. So all those things I said in my fast talk, sorry. I just want, and I want to thank one more thing. The security at the high school is amazing, and I know they have a lot going on, and I don't know everything, thank God. But what I do know is that they're amazing with my son, and they actually have him be a security officer. He checks kids in at lunch. They gave him like a Mount Olive ceremony with a police officer, and they did this all of their own accord. So I just want to shout out to them for doing that, because this really makes a big difference. And he absolutely loves security officers, and all of them there do a great job of including, and that's what true inclusion is, which I've said before. It's not when you have, the special ed people and the gen ed, it's when the entire building. And I do think this district, maybe not always and not always consistently, but from what I've seen, which is why I'm here with my son and fight to get him here, is because I think they do a really good job of that, as far as I can see at least. So anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And, okay, so I just wanted to ask Dr. Van if you did you want to speak to any thoughts on a retention plan or?
So we have a lot of plans in play right now because we are entering a phase of negotiation, and Miss Libby here is coming up with some nice packages in order to address, obviously, the elephant in the room, which is a monetary factor, which is often seen as one of the reasons why we're unable to hire certain aides because they don't want to come here. Also, in some cases, why they do leave. So that's one of our priorities. And I remember from the CPEG meeting, your suggestion about the PD. And that's another angle, is the fact that we do provide some PD within the district. And one of the things that we're going to continue to do is expand on the specialized training for our paraprofessionals. I do like your idea about perhaps inviting them to the IEP meetings, because certainly that does provide a perspective in which your child is often with that person throughout the whole day.
Yes.
Looking at that aid audit, we give us a little pause over there, but certainly gave us some great ideas. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're truly trying to lift up the pay, which is really what we believe is the crux. And certainly, if anyone out there who is a male paraprofessional, certainly we'll take everyone. But certainly, we do need a nice divergent group of people who are from all different, both sides of the gender, but also different walks of life, because I certainly think that's a big factor as well. So thank you for that feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Bangia. Any other public comments? Fantastic. Then we will close public comments. Is there any old business? I just have two quick things very quickly. The Board Advisory Committee. Do we have any updates? Okay, next time. And just a reminder about the tech plan, because Dr. Kreider did such a wonderful job on the attrition documentation. Hopefully the tech plan is somewhere being worked on as well. I know it's going to be fantastic. Any other old business for the board? Any new business?
I do, unfortunately. This does not come easy. I have some upsetting and disappointing concerns pertaining myself personally and professionally in my capacity as an insurance industry member. Allegedly, an investigator by the name of Mark Rusin, stating to be hired by the Mount Olive Board of Education, was investigating myself, a board member of the Mount Olive Board of Education, contacted a colleague of mine in the insurance industry, questioning not only my relationship, but my ethics within the industry and as a board member. Questioning and alluding to rumors that I acted in an unethical manner as it pertains to insurance contracts with Mount Olive Board of Education. Let me remind the Board of Ed, this was not a public email, but an email that I had sent to both the board, the superintendent, and our board attorney on June 17th. I'm writing to address a rumor that was shared with me at 10:41 a.m. yesterday morning on June 16th, 2022, that amongst our board, several members have made accusations that Dr. Zawicki had bought my vote on a Monday night, and in return, I plan to bring in my insurance company so I can get the contract. In a call with Mr. Strelacci that day at 12:31, yesterday, June 16th, 2022, he confirmed he indeed did hear this rumor and did indeed repeat this rumor to Dr. Zawicki. Therefore, many members perpetuating and continuing to give fuel to disparaging gossip. Let me make this abundantly clear. I take great offense to the rumor, an accusation of unethical behavior, a rumor for which is slanderous towards myself and my stellar 17-year career, which is governed by the New Jersey Department of Banking and Insurance. I'm held to the highest ethical standards by the state of New Jersey in both my capacity as a senior executive for, at the time, Provident Bank, and now for Foundation Risk Partners, and as a member of the Mount Olive Board of Education. I've been more than vocal as to my reasons for voting in such manners. I shared those views with all of my board members, and they may not align with each of yours, which is perfectly acceptable. I want to make it very clear to this board, I would never have this board commit the unethical errors of the past and repeat what occurred previously with a former board member. I will not go into the details of the remaining of that email. I don't think we need to rehash the past. What I do ask and wish that these rumors be put to rest, as well as put a stop to any and all who wish to continue and commit defamation of my professional reputation by causing injury or damage to my professional character, as well as stop those who wish to commit slander by making any untrue defamatory statements to my professional character. I would have shared this with the board prior, but I had to consult with my employer before coming. I do have some questions. Was this investigator voted and approved by the board, either in public or executive session utilizing public taxpayer dollars to investigate myself? What was the scope of this alleged investigation? If not, was it not approved by the board? Was this investigation would be considered a misuse of school district funds? And as I said at the last meeting, my goal for this year, and it still is, an effort of unity for this board. So my request of Dr. Gales as the board president and our attorney is that someone send a message to Mr. Mark Rusin, a cease and desist letter, that this board never authorized his investigation into myself.
Any other new business?
I just want to make a comment, Lisa, and just say I'm very sorry that you are going through this, and it absolutely disgusts me that someone would use our money improperly like that. I don't know what's going on, but that does need to be investigated.
Okay, seeing no new business. Board comments. Members of the board may comment on any item of interest pertaining to the Mount Olive School District. Dr. Giordano.
No comment, Mr. President.
Mrs. Ouimet.
Of course, I have comments. I always have to go after you now with no comments. Ms. Pisano, thank you. I think that was great what you put together for us, made us think a lot about it. You're on the front line, so you, if anybody, will be the expert in knowing what there is, what there should be, and what we could look into. So I say thank you very much for everything that, and I know Dr. Bangia took notes on that one, of everything. And we're always looking to improve. So if we can, and I do like the idea of with the IEPs and the professional development and the conferences, you want everybody to be a part of a team for the student. And of course, we're all here for the students. We're always here for the students. But being a part of a team, and I think that's true, you need to, tidy up that circle of everything for support for students. So thank you for that. That was great that you did that. And not even Mount Olive residents, so thank you. Ms. Jarvis, thank you very much for coming forward and bringing up that again about the curriculum with the honors. I know honors were a great thing for my kids many years ago, and not having them. There are students that aren't AP students. There are students who don't want to take AP classes. And I think we should have that opportunity for students to choose and to still be in an honors class. So thank you for bringing that forward again, that we had talked about that in the past. Also, I saw, and I was glad to see that again, the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Award. Miss Bridget's room, is there going to be an opening to that? Or that's at the middle school. And I just want to say that's a phenomenal thing that they did. I know Miss Quinn's family. And I think that's great that, that they did that in honor of her.
So I don't believe there's an official outside opening, but certainly that corner is going to be available to students. And that certainly is a reflection of Bridget's family, as well as Miss Hunter, as well as Mr. Kramer and his staff, to ensure her memory lives on.
That was great. Miss Hunter, I just want to do a kudos to Miss Hunter for doing that and going forward.
Always Miss Hunter, never Beth Hunter, Miss Hunter.
Also glad to hear that the science fairs are back on track and we have the individuals, because that goes way back from when I started. I think when I started on the board, I was pushing for science fairs. So it's great to see how it has evolved and it's gotten, and improved. Alumni panel, is that still on track that we're going to be doing that?
At the high school?
Yes.
I think they all returned to college.
I don't know if we're going to be able to do.
We may not be able to do one in January.
Yeah.
'cause,
Yeah.
from the second semester.
Yeah.
But we have considered maybe running an alumni panel in May.
Good. It's the best thing for students. I think that, just hearing, the past, who are you going to listen to more? You're going to listen to your peers more than you're going to listen to your teachers and your parents. So I think that's great when they hear their experiences in each of the colleges. It's always been such a valuable experience when it was run in the past. So thank you. And thank you. And I'm proud to be on this Mount Olive board.
Luisa Melendez.
Yes. Yes, I have to share. I already shared with the boards via email, but I would like to share with the public good news for our school district. One student from Mount Olive Middle School, 8th grade, Mr. Michael Alfano, has been recognized as part of the January Students of the Month by the Mayo Performance Arts Centers in Morristown, New Jersey. Congratulations to Mr. Alfano and his family. Other thing is that the student that was giving the report, she was excellent.
Yes,
So,
yes.
It's amazing how students
Yes.
in Mount Olive has that oratoria and they keep track of everything that she was informed. It was a lot. And she did fantastic. I'm so happy to be part of this board, and I hope that we heal and we work toward the better to our school district. And I support all my board of education colleagues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Narcisse.
Okay, so Mrs. Jarvis, I feel agree with your sentiment with regards to the tracking of some of the classes, and I hope that we can, get a better feeling and track and curriculum can answer some of those questions. I do want to say I had the pleasure, on a happy note, our district hosted the middle school Morris County Wrestling Tournament, and I got to see not just wrestlers from our district all over, but our coaches, Coach T, Coach Buck, Coach Potter, even Coach Smythe came down, running around, running the whole program. And students who were not wrestling, but were still part of the wrestling program, you could see them running tables, volunteering. It was a full force effort, and it was quite amazing to see, and an honor for us to host that program. I look forward to the Tri-M concert this week. And very excited. I'm seeing some of our seniors in their college acceptances and commitments coming through all over, they're posting them on Instagram. And I look forward to the future that our Marauders have in our senior class.
Thank you. Mrs. Strelacci.
Yeah, I'd like to address the two bus drivers that were here this evening. We truly value our bus drivers and we care about our bus drivers. Over the years, we've been pressured to privatize our buses. We refused to do it. We don't trust our children with anybody other than the people that we know. And that's how much we care about you. We're going through a period like all places are right now where we just can't get bus drivers. And it's resulting in runs that can't be covered or, field trips that can't be covered. And what we did tonight is simply give ourselves the net to make sure that no child will miss a field trip or will miss an athletic event. Nothing other than that. We like you, we care about you, we love you. We are not the highest paying district, we're not the lowest paying district. And we want you to come forward anytime you need something. We want to hear about it and so forth. But don't ever feel that we are working against you, because we're not. That's it.
Mrs. Fenton.
I have no comment tonight, thank you.
Mr. Zire.
Yes, I wasn't here at the last meeting. I was celebrating 50 years of gloriousness. I want to congratulate Mrs. Melendez on joining the board. I also wanted to, I can't even put it as close as eloquent as you put it with the bus drivers. I couldn't agree more. I have been serviced by the bus drivers. I have worked with the bus drivers. They are absolutely fantastic. I would never, ever, I'll put it out there, I will never, ever place a vote to outsource the bus drivers. But our concerns do come with the students, and I don't want you to ever feel that you are underappreciated, because we really do appreciate everything that you do to keep our students safe and get them to where they need to be. On the another kind of maybe what can be easily interpreted as an underappreciated role is our aides. I was a paraprofessional in this district, so I'm well aware of how it can feel. What I will tell you is that we are having these problems, Mr. Strelacci said, and everybody is having them, and anybody can deal with a problem by putting their head in the sand. They can accuse other people of doing something, or they'll find creative solutions. And I am a person that has kind of that advantage of hearing things behind the scenes. And I do know, I will echo what Dr. Bangia had said about Mrs. Libby and herself, that they are working on very creative strategies in hopes to retain our educational partners. They are a very important part of our education. I work with educational partners all day long. And one of the things I always do is, the question I ask is how I can make your job easier. Because really they are there. I had one retire last year, and I'm still worried that they're going to figure out I wasn't doing everything. So But needless to say, they are a very important role, important piece of our educational community. So thank you for all you do. That's it.
Mrs. Aquino.
Thank you. I do want to also repeat, not really, but
You can if you
I
like.
don't really want to repeat it, but I do want to, I do want to say a big thank you to our bus drivers, because I do too love them and appreciate them, and they always do a fantastic job. And we will continue to look into the amount of drivers that we have and all of your concerns and issues, because they do not and are not falling on deaf ears, just so you know that. The C&T committee have their work cut out for them next month. That's that's for sure. Excuse me. Along with Dr. Bangia, I'm sorry, we're going to be looking into Mrs. Jarvis's concerns and questions so that we can recap and go over some of the issues of our classes and where we stand and where we're going to be moving forward. So we will be doing that at our next C&T meeting. Thank you. Thank you for that, and sorry for my coughing. Our aides, I also agree with everything that you stated. I loved how beautifully and eloquently you mentioned the trainings and the PD, and also the attendance at the IEP meetings. I think that's extremely important, and you nailed that. I want to apologize to Mrs. Narcisse. I think that's it.
Thank you very much. And finally, I will echo what my board colleagues have said regarding the bus drivers, because not only have I personally experienced the quality of the service that you provide through my own children, but in my daily travels, I have witnessed bus drivers going above and beyond to ensure that all students get on the bus in a safe manner, whether it was a special needs child, especially a special needs kid. And I'm thinking of one in particular who, on my way out of my community, the bus driver was instrumental in ensuring that that kid, along with the family, got on the bus safely. So we truly value and appreciate everything that you do in terms of getting our kids to and from school safely. I am, and also with our aides, I know that we are not the highest paying district, but I hope that in this retention plan, there is something that kind of trickles down to the building levels where our building administrators are showing our aides the love. Because as Mrs. Pisano said, it's not always the money, but it's just that feeling of family and inclusion and the opportunity for some kind of intellectual inspiration and motivation through PD. So there are many ways in which we can do that, we can accomplish that, and hopefully that kind of trickles down into our buildings. So I appreciate our parents who have come out to share their thoughts about how we move forward as a district, which then feeds into what I've seen this week in our committees, because I want to thank my fellow board members who have just shown such vigor in their conversations and deliberations in committee. I'm excited because now we're back to talking about what comes next for Mount Olive. So I appreciate that and look forward to those continued conversations. And I'm gonna round out by saying I mentioned the Eagle Scout event yesterday, and we will continue that next month. But also, I had the opportunity on January 14th to go to the North Jersey Area Band Concert, which was held at the high school. And it was just absolutely amazing because our very own Ken Odessa was the conductor for the junior high band. And it was just amazing. A bunch of middle school kids from across the region playing just some of the most fantastic pieces. And according to Mr. Odessa, this is kind of like a once-in-a-career event, and not everybody gets to do it. And he just did a phenomenal job with 1 week's worth of practice with a number of kids, and it just came together so well. The auditorium at the high school was jam-packed. It was just fantastic music, and congratulations to Mr. Odessa. And Dr. Bangia, we will round out with you.
I think one of the things that we learned tonight is how passionate we are about our young people in this community. Really, at the end of the day, whether be about transporting them to and from school, wonderful trips, whether them helping them support them in the paraprofessional, the administrators that we do come here. It really comes down to that nucleus. We're here for our students. And I think conversations tonight go back to that, is that we want all our students to achieve. And for our students to all achieve, we need a staff to feel welcomed and part of the school community. And certainly those are the goals that we have as an administrative team as well as a board. And I certainly believe that the people we have on team now is looking to make that happen. So certainly for those who had concerns that are brought up today, please know that we will be following up with you to ensure that your voices are heard so that we can address any misunderstandings and overcome any things to ensure that we meet those needs of our kids. So once again, thank you for your time. I appreciate your feedback, and we can do this together.
Thank you, Dr. Bangia. At this time, the board is going to go into closed session. I would like a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
The board is going into executive session to discuss matters of personnel, attorney-client privilege, and student matters. An action may be taken. We did get a second, correct, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Aquino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenton?
Yes.
Dr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Melendez?
Yes.
Mrs. Narcisse?
Yes.
Mrs. Ouimet? Mr. Chalachi?
Yes.
Mr. Zire?
Yes.
Dr. Gales?
Yes, we will take about an hour.
You could just lay that.
Thank you so much. For those of you who are leaving, we appreciate you coming.